Professor Arthur Lyondell he's the president of the World Environment Forum. Peter, he mentioned a lot of good points, I think.
Yes,
your thoughts?
I think the key theme that Arthur was mentioning there was sustainability. So sustainability is another pillar upon which EU energy policy is developing. Sustainability has various facets and it enters into many different aspects of our lives, many different industries. It's not just limited to energy. You mentioned development with regards to buildings. And so sustainability is a theme in that area of development too.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to speak a bit about renewable energy, again, renewable development. What measures have been applied here in Malta to promote renewables?
So, when you refer to measures, I imagine you are referring to policy measures. Mm-hmm. So, the policy that was adopted about 10 years ago was to focus purely on solar and waste-to-energy as well as wind. As I mentioned earlier, we have since scrapped the idea of wind energy for several reasons, which was probably a good idea. And we have decided to focus more on solar energy and waste-to-energy.
Waste-to-energy, can we speak a bit about the landfills? Is that something that looks probable for the near future?
Well, we already do have some waste-to-energy plants that became up and running in the 2012-13 period, if I'm not mistaken. So it's from animal waste, from landfill waste, as you mentioned. So it is something that's very probable, and it does look like there have been some tenders recently announced with the intention that we do have larger waste-to-energy plants up and running in the 2023-2024 period.
Yes, so that's also...
A concluding note would be that renewables are definitely part of the future of energy. And they are going to continue to develop and become more important in our lives and in the global energy mix with every passing decade. We have targets for 2020, which were set in 2009 by virtue of an EU directive, and now by virtue of an amendment to that directive, we have targets for 2030 across the EU. All countries around the world are trying to promote renewables to build their security of supply. But as I mentioned earlier, a big part of all this effort should be not just towards developing renewables at any cost. They need to be deployed in the right setting. So I understand that David is of the opinion, for instance, that we should be developing wind, but in Malta, the technology does not permit for developing wind farms in offshore territory in Malta because our waters are so deep. So it ends up becoming a very expensive exercise, if at all possible. And it's also a very different setting to develop wind in Malta as opposed to solar, because our wind potential isn't as strong as our solar potential. It is like comparing Malta to Scotland, for instance. Yeah. We can deploy solar in Scotland, but it's not going to be as strong as in Malta, and vice versa with wind energy.
So it's always a matter of opinion and a matter of doing more research. I thank you very much, Peter, for being with us today.
Pleasure.
That's the end of our program today. Thank you for watching. I am with Dr. Peter Grima. I wish you a lovely weekend. Good night.